Hello, welcome back to my annoying voice. Had a few days off from it, but thought I'd rejoin for a bit of Carabao Cup second round action. Got 12 matches involving drafters, 5 of them highlighted, 3 of them all drafter clashes. And there's still one more game to be played next week as well. Louis, who's back and forth from the Czech Republic, trying to qualify for the Europa Conference League, having won the Carabao Cup last year. His game away at Aston Villa B is next week, next Wednesday. But yeah, we've had a few league games and sort of highlight reels over the course of this week, which I haven't blessed with my audio. So I thought I'd just drop in. How one of the teams that's actually making really good headway in the league while I've been less engaged. Away at Birmingham, who I think you were pretty much fighting for the Premier League title last year. So in terms of an AI threat, they're about as difficult as they get. Not that you'd notice. Now, I've mentioned it a few times now, but obviously they have been transferring between themselves, the non-drafted sides, hence why Lewis Miley's sat in their centre midfield. But by and large, when we've come across these teams, they have still been dominated by the original sort of database lineup. I'm sure it was Lewis Miley's dream to one day play alongside Robbie Savage. Cardiff has been quite active in the transfer window, which closes tomorrow. The last chance for any waiver pickups by midday tomorrow, and then until midnight for any sort of trades, signings amongst each other. But yeah, Calv and especially Levi at FullofStrangeham have been in pretty close communication throughout. So far swapped. I think Kudus and Van der Ven have come into the squad for Calv, although neither of them seem to be playing today. And he's let go Ramirez and Paulo Ferreira, who he only drafted in this summer. But it's fair to say that actually all those draft picks, waiver moves, transfer dealings, and the new manager of Emery coming in has worked well so far. Switched to a 4-2-3-1 from Kevin Keegan's 4-4-2 last year. James Justin, another player he did pick up in the original draft, not the original one, the original draft this summer. Birmingham, meanwhile, they started off managed by, I think it was Alex McLeish. Yeah, and he's still there. Like I say, nearly guided them to the Premier League title last year. Doesn't look like he'll be guiding to anywhere near the Carabao Cup this year. Percy, another one of Cal's smarter dealings this summer, swapped him straight for Andy Cole, with a Man United fan that clearly preferred Cole over Van Persie. And Paul Merson absolutely loving that number 10 role. Again, it will be interesting to see if any managers rotate their squads for the Carabao Cup. We had a few casualties in the first round, but I mean, Emery certainly hasn't. And our first glimpse of VAR for the season. Good to have you back. If I remember, once we've run through the remaining scores, I will try and look to see if Louis has safely navigated his way into the Europa Conference League. I think he won the first leg in the Czech Republic 3-0, so I mean there's not much danger of him not doing so. And he'll join Warringham, myself, the MATTch, and Dan City Y, who won the FA Cup, having to navigate a lot of fixture congestion, a lot of fixture reschedulings. Our first all-drafter clash. It's actually now League 2 versus League 1. Connor, it's fair to say, not made the best start to this season. He was another one where he actually did the opposite of Calv. He's gone from a sort of more fluid system to a more rigid 4-4-2 with Kenny Dalglish coming in. His idea was that he really wanted to see Shearer and Fowler up front together. And that has largely been the case, albeit without much success, not helped by having usually Maddison and Modric as a centre midfield pairing. He's gone Douglas Luiz and maybe Gini Wijnaldum today, so you'd think that looks better on paper. Matty's Ellister, on the other hand, made a really good start to League 1 life, as you perhaps expect. I think it's 4 wins from 4. And despite the avalanche of offers coming in for his players, he's sticking with not letting anybody leave. He still retains the same squad almost exclusively that he drafted in the summer of 24. That squad taking him to second in the league and promotion. Yeah, on the whole, you'd say that Connor's team has a bit better balance than it has done for the last couple of league games. Arguably even more so now with Conser coming on at right back. Of course, both Connor and Matty are Norwich fans. Matty shocked everyone when he ignored Norwich and everyone else to choose Leicester as his team, much to the anger of Chesh, the actual Leicester fan. That did pave the way for Connor to pick up Norwich A at the end of that first draft. I think the only thing Matty did do is then steal Wes Hoolahan from him. Not that he's played at all, I don't think. And that guy just cannot stop scoring. Last year's Golden Boot winner in League Two. For the most part, he seems to have played his first string. I think Christopher Samba, it's a bit of a rare appearance, and definitely Iosi on the right. One of the many players that Matty didn't let go this summer. And there's your reason why. It's weird, I mean, Maddison and Modric, such a lightweight centre midfield pairing, but you wouldn't have said Jorginho and David Silva were primed for combative box-to-box work. But it worked all of last season, it's working again this season. Very rarely does he sort of switch it up from those two in the middle. He being Sir Alex, of course. Adebayor was the first pick of the entire draft this summer, released by Manchester staff at the back end of last year. Connor got himself first draft pick, went straight in for Adebayor. He has actually, you'd think, I mean, he's also picked up Jamie Vardy, so Vardy, Adebayor, Fowler, Shearer is not a bad four-person unit to fill those top two spaces. Just seems to be the issue of getting service to them so far this season. Meanwhile, Phil Foden, who keeps popping up front, is prolific. Of course, when you're chasing the game, you go to one up front instead and put Robbie Fowler on the left wing. Definitely been Connor's best performance of the season so far, though. Genuine threat. A lot more solid in the middle. Still shaky at the back, which is odd considering Captain Company's at the heart of it. They're just so efficient though. And Matty's unbeaten start to the season looks to be carrying on. It will be interesting to see how the four that went up fare in the cups. It's the only real way to gauge if they've further pulled away from the rest of us or whether we're still quite tightly bunched. I've just seen Robbie Fowler switch to defensive midfield now. Kenny's lost his head. Yep. Better performance from Connor, same result. Two more teams that have had pretty decent starts to the season, both in League Two. Ned's looked electrifying at home, to be honest, but then pretty impotent away. And Dan, having lost out in the playoff semi-finals last year, definitely put himself forward as one of the leading candidates for promotion this, you'd think. And he dared to put Harry Kane at centre midfield in the last set of league games, with Kai Havertz up front. Gone back to a slightly more traditional look today. Meanwhile, Patrick Vieira, Arsened's formation manager, keeps switching up who he wants to play up front. He's gone from Wiltord to Davor Suker, and today it's Reyes. Again, the interplay is so good. I mean, you would kind of expect it with the likes of Ozil, Perez, Cazorla, Saka, but to actually see it come off as regularly as it has been so far this season. It does very much scream Arsenal circa 2000. Spoke about the striker rotation for Ned's team. I mean, that doesn't even include, he's still got vintage Alan Smith and Ian Wright. So those five strikers trying to fill that one slot. I think Arsened might be the closest we have of the game imitating real life. Everything does seem to gel when it's going well. Just realised that sort of 5-strong striker unit is actually 6 or 7 really. There's Walcott and Lacazette in amongst the squad as well. harsh. Probably see off the game though. And the third of 3 all drafter clashes. Another 2 teams actually that have started very well. Harry, it's hard to tell right now because a lot of his opponents have been the additional pyramid sides that came down from League One, so sort of Chelsea D, Brighton B, Man United C. I think they're both undefeated after the first 4 games. Chesh, of course, quite unlucky to lose out in the playoff final last year. His fixture congestion on my part through Champions League duties forced him to play the final about 3 days after our second leg of the semi-finals. Harry, meanwhile, was only really safe from relegation with about sort of 3 weeks left at the end of the season. Again, for the most part, it seems a lot of first teamers or people on the edge of the first team that are being picked for the cup, all apart from Gabor Kiraly and his pyjamas. Jamie Redknapp just entering the field. Surprised we haven't seen more of him this season. He was probably the, well, for me anyway, the pick of the draft selections this summer. Louis, the Sky Lou's let him go, despite being only 21 on the game. Not sure why I'm being given the option to take off Wilfried Zaha. I'm very much a spectator. Do like the idea of Harry's assistant coming up to me in the crowd and asking if I can haul him off. No, still can't support that, I'm afraid. Not my job. It is my job to pick out Jamie Redknapp as a absolute baller, though. Could that be more Bergkamp? Which Baldy's going to be the first to make a save? Baldy Brad or Baldy Gab? Or neither. Oh no. Can't blame me if he misses. There you go, I was right to leave him on. And this could be a long recording. Oh, I thought he'd saved that. This is nothing against Chesh, but come on, Gab. Somebody miss. Oh, tie up those trackies, make a save. Oh. Come on, we've got lives. At least if you're watching this post-recording, you can fast forward, skip forward, throw your laptop out of a window. I have none of those options. Come on, Didier. Oh. Even the pyjamas have scored. Come on, be a hero. And I'm back to the start. Of all the players to miss. Alright, night everybody. There's still one more live game as well. Get to see Alex in action. Unfortunately, nobody else will still be here because they'll have checked out after about the 15th penalty. But for the real hardcore, they get to see a slightly changed Leeds UniTodd taking on another Premier League side in Middlesbrough A. I think Schwartau, who they've signed, isn't he the guy that just moved to Norwich in real life in the summer? Lovely to see the likes of Joseph Desiree Job and Stuart Downing. I think they underperformed in the Premier League last year. Steve McLaren's in charge, but he's pretty much been insecure since about December of last season, still clinging onto his job for dear life. For Alex, it's a slightly changed side from his first team, albeit with Anelka still running right down the middle. There's a few draft picks in the likes of Frico Lewis and Archie Gray that I suppose were tailor-made for these cup situations, as long as they still make it through. Lee Bowyer also getting a rare start. Lovely goal. Baines, I think, sort of in the same mould as Ian Hart for Manchester, for Liam. Not probably played as much as Alex would have hoped, purely because of his age, so FM obviously takes their time with youngsters usually. But as this season goes on, you'd think he'd get more and more game time. He's gone to 2 up front this time, Bielsa. Forlan a summer pickup. Henningberg, who's just come on, was denied a move. Can't remember where it was, but certainly was a rejected transfer offer. But other than that, Alex has been pretty quiet across the summer. He's trimmed his squad a bit. John Lukic retired, but then David Hopkin, Rod Wallace, John Newsom, Chris Fairclough, David Batty and Brian Dean were all allowed to leave, with absolutely nobody coming in to replace them, so he's enabled a bit of a cull. I don't think I can take any more penalties. Come on. The last Brad did very little to try and stop the penalty rot. I don't have much more faith in Brad Jones. But I'm not in charge. It's all on you, Nige. Still got the other 7 scores to quickly rattle through as well. Some fantastic names popping up in this shootout, mind you. Ali Adier. Not this dude. Phil Stamp, come on, surely not. No. It's fiery redhead with a fiery spot kick into the corner. We're going into sudden death again, aren't we? Another redhead. Come on, Ray, do me a favour. Gianluca Festa. With one of the best penalties you're likely to ever see. And so much so these shootouts, my laptop's about to die. Just as Rico Lewis's plays over. You hear the noise of me relocating so I can plug in this. And Spencer Pryor, who obviously has had a move from Derby. Turns out Brad Jones was the boy. Nigel Martin, absolutely shocking performance. So on to the other scores, finally. And just like Massey, the other League One protagonists, Foyverton straight in. Ronaldo, I think, scored 4 at the weekend or the last round of league games. Seeing off a potential banana skin in Bolton A. And a win for Lawrence, who's also had a very good start to the season, actually. Brighton B will all have to face twice this season. They came down to League 2. This result bodes well for him. Finally a win on the board for Bolge this season. Not had the most auspicious of starts. And finally a start for Sandro Tonali. I think he intended him to play instead of Blind rather than Gerrard, but baby steps. We'll check on those injuries afterwards. Not so good for Zig though. Another penalty disaster. David Raya being outperformed by Magnus Hedman. Good to see Dave Bust repair his leg in time to score the winning penalty. Tight win, but a win nonetheless for another League One side. Levi's FullofStrangeham continues his undefeated start to the season. Again with a very strong lineup. Debut for Chris Fairclough, who Levi picked up after Alex had decided to sell him. Comfortable win for Tom. Solskjaer barely got a game last year, or certainly a start, but has made a very positive impact in these early games. And finally, Wyman. Pretty strong record in all cups at the moment, having won the FA Cup, Community Shield, World Club Cup, Community Shield last year as well. You wouldn't bet against him going on a run here as well. Calvert-Lewin getting his first goal, having spent 40 million on him in the most recent waiver wire pickups. I think that is everybody. Just realised I won't be able to check on Louis' Europa Conference League second leg, as we're a couple of days off that within the game. So I'll leave it there, and everyone can have a nice cup of tea and ponder those horrendous shootouts. Back next time for more league games, where we'll have actually caught up with the real life date of the 30th of August. See you then.